People say that I don't even need the transformer over at KPFT to get the word out. This is the deal. I'm sitting here looking at a mother whose son was run down all the way to Fort Bend County, shot over 50 times by more than a dozen police officers. What happened in that case? Nothing. I remember when we started this rally in 1995, there was a police officer that had just been arrested for murdering his two early 10, 12-year-old sons to teach his wife who was boss. Where is that officer today? He was sentenced to life, but his name does not appear on the roster of Texas prisons. So the system has worked to get a man out of prison who murdered his two pre-teenage children in order to teach his wife the lesson who is boss. It took 25 years of case after case. There are usually 12 cases of police murder of unarmed people in this jurisdiction every year. Almost one a month for over 25 years before we got the first uniformed police officer who murdered someone while on duty, indicted and convicted in a Texas court. His name was Carbino. And of course, the whole system, they stacked the jury, but they found him guilty anyway because the crime was too onerous to walk away from. But he went to the judge for the sentencing, and the judge gave him probation. With a bunch of us sitting there glaring at that bench, after she left, she came back and said, and 180 days jail time. So he spent 6 months in jail for killing a 14-year-old special education Hispanic male by wrestling him to the ground and blowing his brains out with the help of another officer who testified against him in the trial. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they kill in cold blood, and their relatives control the jury selection process in Harris County, so they stack the jury. Have you ever noticed that in this recent Occupy case, where the undercover cops from Austin and the undercover cops, the whole black ops division of Occupy was a bunch of cops. They're sitting there, let's do this, let's do that can get us all into trouble. Friends of mine made fun of the black ops, but didn't have enough sense to understand that they were being infiltrated, and that was what was happening. And now they've had one trial. The guy walked out whistling Dixie with no problem. We had a defendant sitting right here. They haven't taken him to trial. Why? Because they've got to wait long enough for the jury panel clerks to assemble another stacked jury so the next one can get away with it. And it's serial. It goes on and on and on. Hell, they couldn't try my case from my last arrest because they can only fix one jury at a time, and my case came up in the middle of the other case. We are living in a city where poor people, black people, brown people, gay people are readily killed. If you get to the point where you know 2 or 3 people, one a surviving mother, me, Fred Pies was murdered by the cops while he was investigating Gary Stock's murder by the cops. Carl Hampton was shot in the middle of the street over next to the University of Houston, not far from there. Not only Carl Hampton, but there's Gilliam. I mean, they thought Ms. Ada Edwards and I were Siamese twins. We were back to back in favor of a police review board, which will never happen because people, by the time they make it to the table of politics, are the only true friend we had on that issue was Ada Edwards. She went through the process, got a seat at the table, and she never talked about the need of it, stopping the need of it. I want to thank you for coming out.
Right.
There are not very many of us, but But we just had, we're going to have another, it's a march to abolish death penalty on Saturday, November the 3rd in Austin. Buses are available. Check with the folks over at Shape Center.
No, check with me.
Check with Joanne about buses to Austin. She's got tickets right here. It's just another form of kill. If you're poor, you don't get the lawyers you need. You stay in jail until you're so tired you'll accept anything. The system is stacked against it. It is only when we get arrested, we stand up to them, we fight our cases, and we turn around and sue them. That's the only thing we get any satisfaction, and that is pittance for the loss of lives. I love you all. Don't be worried about the numbers. The only thing that has affected change in this world is a handful of committed people. Thank you for being one of those people.
Thanks, Rick. Everybody.
Yay.